And quickly jumping to the next session, let me call out the names of the panel members. So for the next session, the topic is going to be role of R&D in advancing seed technology. And the panel members are Ms. Tara Satyavati, Director General, Indian Institute of Millets Research. Ms. Tara Satyavati, everybody, huge round of applause. Let's welcome her on the stage. Yes. Ms. Bharti Malhotra, Research Manager, Analysis Leader, Crop Science, Agribusiness, S&P Global will be joining online. We have Dr. Prabha Shankar Shukla, Vice Chancellor, NEHU. Let's keep clapping. Dr. Mandar, CEO, Grain International Private Limited. Dr. Mandar. Everybody, let's keep clapping. And once again, we need to invite on stage Dr. Mansoor Das, because he will be moderating the session. Dr. Mansoor Das, he's a Principal Scientist, Global Head, Seed Systems, ICRISAT. Keep clapping once again. So, a compact panel. I see we have only 4 on the panel. So, yes, sir, please. Panel members are ready for the discussion. And the topic is role of R&D in advancing seed technology. So, the room is open for discussion. Over to Mr. Mansoor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, we're going to start today's last session, panel discussion on the topic, role of research and development in advancing seed technology. This session will explore how research and development can accelerate breakthrough in seed technologies, and will highlight the importance of scientific innovations, policy, collaborations, strategies to translate lab discoveries into farmers' field in India and Africa. It's my privilege to welcome the panel members. All of us know seeds are very important. They're fundamental in agriculture, and the quality of seeds reflect resilience, productivity, and also food security. In the face of climate change, I think the challenges that are faced in the current scenario in terms of climate change, land degradation, evolving market demands, and things, so on, the role of research and development becomes essential. So in this discussion, we have delegates and experts from different backgrounds. They will give us their insights on how cutting-edge science, guided by diplomacy, policy, and partnerships, can bring innovations in seed sector. I would pose a couple of questions for each of them in 2 rounds, but I would also encourage our panelists to build from each other's insights so that, we have a rich exchange of thoughts. And so we have with us today Dr. Tara Satyavati, who is Director General of Indian Institute of Millet Research. She is a breeder, has done a lot of breeding work in pearl millet, has released a lot of varieties, and she's had many awards in her favor, and very recently she has got a very reputed award she's received from US Congress First District Medal in USA. Congratulations, ma'am, for that. We have with us Dr. Bharti Malhotra, who is joining us online, and she is the research manager, analysis lead, crop science, agribusiness, S&P Global. We have Dr. Mandar Godje. I'm sorry if I pronounced wrong. He's the CEO of Grain International Private Limited. Do we have Dr. Prabhakar Shukla, who is the Vice Chancellor of NEHU, and we also have Dr. Karanatharan from Corteva Sciences. So, ma'am, let's begin this discussion. I want to start with you. Maybe I can just come there and start from there. This is sorry for that. So, ma'am, you have witnessed a lot of changes in R&D, particularly in seed sector. Can you please tell us how has R&D in seed technology evolved in last few decades, and what are the new frontiers that are entering into this sector?
First of all, thank you, the organizers, for inviting me to be a part of this very important panel. Coming to your question, Dr. Dhar, there are many advancements that are happening in the R&D, not only in the development of varieties, but also the seed technology aspects. And if you see, we are not dealing the seed technology aspects separately, but they are integral part of our varietal improvement activities. And if you know, in India, we have the age-old tested system of All India Coordinated Research Improvement Programs specific to different crops, wherein you are taking up the multi-location, multi-year testing principle and trying to identify those genotypes that would be suitable for different agroecological conditions. Along with that, once you are done with the initial year of first year of testing across the locations in the country, once you identify that these materials are suitable to different agroecological areas, then you take up in a larger scale of testing in a larger area, and then there you also see the performance with respect to agronomy, pathology, entomology for various diseases, pests, and then other quality aspects. Now, previously the breeders were just going through the process of selection, then pure line selection and all those things. Later on, hybridization came into picture. Then now we are also going towards other advanced versions like genomic selection, molecular breeding. All these things are coming into picture. And not only that, we are also in the government system trying to identify, develop product profiles for different segments. If you see in a crop like rice or millets, they are suitable in different agroecologies. So the product profile of a particular segment will be different to the product profile of the other segment. So when the breeders are taking up the breeding program or their improvement activities, they keep in focus what is the product profile for that thing. In that, they go either with the conventional thing or also integrate the modern things like molecular breeding. You have, I can take the example of a very classic thing in case of pearl millet, where we have HHB 67, a hybrid that was developed with very early maturity. Later on, looking into its importance, but its susceptibility to diseases and other things, the molecular breeding has been taken into, the parental lines have been improved, and then HHB 67 improved has come. Then we have recently in 2021, HHB 67 improved -1. Again, here I would like to draw your attention that the breeding work is just not done by one institute here. The breeding work was done by State Agriculture University along with the CG Institute and tested through the national system. So it is not just fixed to one place or one person. It is capturing the entire gamut of all the aspects which we need to consider. Similarly, now product profile developments, as said, all the millets, all the crops, most of the breeders in their programs, they are identifying the product profiles and going. Another important point I would like to bring in here is, now previously we are just breeding for yield improvement. Now we are trying to bring in not only yield, nutritional aspects. Classic example again, our pearl millet. I think this is the first of the crop in the world among all the crops where we have mainstreamed nutrition as one of the criteria. Along with the yield, we are focusing on micronutrient content because in the till date, many people or almost everyone is focusing only on yield improvement, production and productivity. But now the need is from food security to nutritional security. And this is the crop where we have identified, come up with benchmark levels for iron and zinc, and then whatever material we are breeding, whether it is a public sector breeding or a private sector breeding, if the material has to go through the national system, both yield and quality, nutrient content, these are going together. And this started, we implemented from 2017. Until date, we have more than 40 plus hybrids and varieties, which have high yield and high iron and zinc content of what we have fixed in the benchmark levels. And then you also see that changing scenario of the diseases. I take again and again, I come to pearl millet because I had good amount of experience in pearl millet. I just cannot forget it. So in pearl millet, downy mildew was the major disease sometimes back. But now we have blast in a big way. So the breeders have to change their objectives and see the material, bring the material into that. And accordingly, not only you have to come up with resistant varieties or hybrids. Now the private sector also, along with the hybrid seed produced, they are also going for some seed treatments in the package so that the farmer will be benefited along with the resistance coming from the genotype. They're also being protected with the seed treatment. And similarly, in other millets and other crops also we see wherever the seed is coming from private sector, the package involves the seed coating with the seed protectant material. So that is giving protection for the seed or the young seedling to survive the harsh conditions, and also giving protection from the diseases or soil-borne diseases and whatever we think of and are existing. As of now, I would like to say stop here, but further I can add.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your perspective and telling us how priorities have changed in breeding. And, thank you for setting that example of pearl millet nutrition aspect, because we've been talking and working on food security, but I think, time has come that we also, this can become an example for other crops as well. So with that perspective, I would like to move to Bharti. Can we check if Bharti is online and she's able to hear us? She's not online? Okay. Okay, if she's not online, then we'll move to our next panelist, is Dr. Mander. And, building from the experience shared by Dr. Director IMR, let's move towards digital technologies. Sure. Right? So how can digital technologies, particularly AI, which is being much talked about, its importance in agriculture, and big data enhance precision in seed research and improve breeding efficiency? Can you give us thoughts about this?
Thank you so much for having me on this panel. See, what has happened, the seed industry is no longer to do only with the genetics alone, right? It's gone beyond that. It is all about cloud. It is all about machine learning, and it's all about intelligence. When I'm saying intelligence, right, has to be human intelligence as well as AI. That's where the combination could be working forward, right? So seeds are no more a product of chance. Seeds are actually a product of precision, right? And that's where AI and machine learning comes in a big way. I'll give you a few examples of digital technologies or AI that have been actually implemented across the globe, right? Because what has happened is they have refined the speed and the accuracy for the breeding experiments across the globe. Yeah. Earlier on, it used to take around 8 to 12 years to get a variety developed. Now it's come down to 5 to 7 years, right? We have a classical example of Corteva Agri-Sciences based in Singapore. They are actually mapping out millions of data sets with all the sensors on the ground for feeding into the machine learning module, where they're actually mapping out how the maize productivity can be looked at. So millions of data sets where human intelligence would be a bigger barrier, they're actually taking help of machine learning and AI to get down to a few data sets which can then be used in the breeding program for maize productivity, right? The other example would be Bayer's Climate Field new platform as well. It integrates actually satellite data along with the data, along with the sensor data as well. Take an example of ICRISAT. We had the earlier panel as well. ICRISAT has digital seed catalog, which is available to the African seed companies as well for access and the research and development. So what I think is, this is a new era. We are looking at the next generation breeding technologies to be coming in. And the way it should happen is artificial intelligence and big data driven intelligent design breeding needs to come in together. When I'm saying big data driven intelligent designs, there are three or four verticals that we are looking at. The first and foremost, we are looking at phenotyping. All the F1s, or could be the parents, or could be the wild types, right? All the way from breeder seed to the commercial release seeds as well. We are looking at phenotyping, data acquisition and analysis, where AI and machine learning plays a very important role. Not only that, earlier Ms. Tara actually mentioned about diseases in pearl millet. We can have diagnostic platforms to detect these diseases which are on breeding lines or in commercial crops as well. The second one I would like to emphasize on is biological data-driven crop functional genomics. I think that's where, Ajay sir, you mentioned about CRISPR, right? That's critical, integral part of AI as well as machine learning, right? There are companies in the US who have actually integrated CRISPR with machine learning now. So breeding is no more only about genome, yeah? The third one would be AI-based breeding combination and detection as well. And fourth, being the intelligent design breeding, where human intelligence and artificial intelligence can be coming over together. With this tool, I think there are two major verticals that the breeding industry needs to be looking at with the help of AI and machine learning. The first one is intelligent hybrid breeding based on big data and breeding modules. And the second one, which is as well important along with the hybrid breeding, is the intelligent biological breeding, right? This is the second most important vertical that is coming in, where your synthetic or biotechnology tools are going to be coupled with AI for further breeding experiments as well. So I think with that, definitely there is a lot of importance and commercial application for AI and machine learning that would be coming in next 2 to 5 years.
Thank you very much. I think this is, there's going to be transformation in breeding.
Absolutely.
You quoted some examples where AI is already taking role of some work that humans used to do. With that question, can we just check if Bharti has joined? Oh, she's not here. Okay. So you mentioned technologies like CRISPR. So maybe I will build from here and ask our next panelist about a question which is very relevant to this is how do modern breeding techniques such as CRISPR, marker-assisted selection, and genomic prediction transform seed research?
Absolutely. First of all, couple of points I want to make. One, I'm accident panelist. So I'm not in the list you see. So I'm accidentally joined the panelist. Second thing, in addition to what you said, right, Corteva. So one sentence about me. So I've been in Corteva 10 plus years, R&D, core R&D, lead genotyping and genomics for India, China, and Africa. So we also have a lab in Africa, so I manage that lab operation from here. Coming to modern breeding technology. So why we need a modern breeding technology? So a couple of points with my knowledge. One, population. So some of the previous panelists talked about population. So the global population is going to increase from 8 to 9.5 billion in 2050. Similarly for India, so we are 1.4 billion people, and next 35 years or so, we'll be peaking around 1.7 billion. Similarly, African continent as well. So to feed all this increased population, we need a modern breeding technologies, including some of the things what moderator said. So one is CRISPR technology. A little bit about CRISPR technology. Some of you may aware, some of you may not aware. The interest of all the audience, CRISPR is different from genetically modified crops. So there is a confusion. We are in the CRISPR. We are not introducing any foreign DNA into the intended plants. So very targeted, very precise. Recently, you might have seen some of the announcement from the government side. Indian government released two rice varieties. One is DRR Dhan 100 Kamala, which yields 20-25% more. And then another rice variety is DST Pusa 1, which grows in drought and saline conditions, so climate resilient or climate smart crops. So those two rice varieties are, brought in through CRISPR technology. So in Corteva, what we do in CRISPR, we have an exclusive license from the inventors. We also license the technology to companies. In-house, we do a lot of CRISPR technology with big data, AI, to bring novel products into the market. In addition to internal discovery, internal work, we also partner with NGOs or big private companies, give this technology and also helps them to edit targeted in their targeted crops. Also, we fund the funds to private companies who has better technology in CRISPR. So one such example is Pairwise. There is a company called Pairwise. We funded $25 million to bring their technology into our internal, combining with our internal technology. So there are a lot of activities going on in CRISPR. Not only Corteva, many companies are doing, because this is going to be a revolutionary, like AI, right? AI in general, but in plant agriculture, CRISPR is going to make a huge change. First thing. Second thing is marker state selection. So marker state selection is nothing new. A lot of you know about it. So it's been in the market, like the practice since 1980s or so. It's nothing but like, if you have a resistance or interested traits, you want to bring that traits from the wild thing to elite breeding lines. So many companies are doing. Similarly for Corteva also, we're doing a lot of marker state selection in our R&D program. Coming to speed breeding, So speed breeding, you said, sir, some of the panelists in the previous also said, to develop in the hybrid, breeding, I'm talking, you need to have a male pool and a female pool to cross and then make a hybrid. So to create a one male pool or female pool, you need a 5 to 7 years approximate timeline. But with the speed breeding, you can do it in a year or so, 1.5 years. So how do you do? For example, in our company, many other companies also do. We have a controlled environment. For example, rice crop. If you do it in the field, you can do it in two seasons, 2 crops. But in case of speed breeding setup, you can do 4.5 cycle. So you can do faster line development or male or female in the hybrid section. And so when you speed up the breeding, right? So ultimately, this brings like new products into the market very faster, right? So that's speed breeding. When it comes to speed breeding, there are you can grow the plants in the soil. You can also grow plants in the water, hydroponics. So in order to, conserve soil, all that process, right? So some companies like us, we do hydroponics. We grow plants in the water. All nutrients are supplied through water system. So that way, you are speeding up the line development or varietal development much faster compared to the traditional. So one last thing on the rapid cycling. There is a lot of companies, again, they are doing rapid cycling. So you bring a variation and then line development much faster in the breeding process. So these are some of the things I can think of, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you very much for quoting those examples and telling us how important these technologies have become for breeding. You mentioned some of the rice varieties that have been developed using this one, and I don't know if you talk about the same varieties which were developed by IIRR recently through gene editing. So, of course, this is going to be a futuristic, methodology for breeding. So, but at the same time, we also understand that scaling such technologies or any such tools become a challenge for the countries like India. So we would now move to Dr. Prabha Shankar Shuklaji, and with a similar question on scaling. What are the challenges, because you are heading an institution and you work very closely with the policymakers. What do you think could be the challenges that are faced for scaling the technologies like CRISPR? And anything other than that, which is similar in nature.
Thank you, Chairman of the panel. As you already asked the question, since yesterday morning we are discussing about the seed technology, breed, and how to apply the new technologies. But as per my knowledge and experience, seed is not only a small entity. We are just defining the seed just like the non-living things, but this is a very living things. And as per my definition of the seed, because seed is the light of Aham Brahma. And that is already mentioned in our Vedas and Upanishad, and is the finite from that concealed within itself in the infinite essence. Signifies that individuals, self, and the absolute are one. All the human beings are one, having the different type of characteristics, different places, and different areas. Its apparent smallness already carries the fullness of Brahma awaited realization. तो always feel during the time of the breeding कि seed is a living entity. We have the different kind of the technologies, either the classical breeding or the modern tool breeding, CRISPR breeding, mass selection breeding, pure line selection breeding, or any other kind of जो है tools. But all the tools already having the problems. We can take the help to breed a good variety for the farmers. Actually, what is the need of our farmers? Because our farmers are ultimate consumers of all the varieties. They always need a stable varieties. Every year, farmers are not in position to change their variety. It will take already some times. So for marketing point of view, companies are thinking even to every year, after 2 years or 3 years, changing or introducing the new varieties. But if we're going to think from the side of the farmers, the farmers are ready to accept it or not ready to accept it. So before going to implement the new technology or new varieties, you must think the problem of the farmers, means adaptability of the varieties. As I know, Dr. Dadlani is also here, and my students is also here. So by chance, we are 3 generations, and in the seed, 3 generations are playing an important role. My mentor is present, I am Anjan, and my students is also present. So the performance of the certified seed, all TL seed, playing an important role or conveying a good message among the farmers. If our varieties are not performing or stable on the farmer's field, there is no meaning of new or good varieties or good technologies or new technologies. So we are ultimately breeding all the varieties for our farmers to enhance the yield per unit area. CRISPR technology can be solve the problems. Just like yesterday, Dr. Parikh already mentioned the genetics of the human beings and genetics of the plants. Definitely the genetics of the plantain is more complex than genetics of the human beings. But we can solve the genetic problem with new technologies. But this cannot be ultimately substitute of the classical breeding. Definitely, because always classical breeding giving us a very good and stable varieties. Rather than the even new technology. New technology, new varieties are not performing for a long time on the farmer's fields. So at the time of the breeding, all the breeders must kept in the mind that variety should be stable at the farmer's field. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving your perspective on the challenges farmers face and the issues with scaling of such technologies. If we can check again with Bharati, if she's already online.
Just go on. Just go on. She's not there.
She's not there? Okay. Okay, now let's go for round 2, and I will again start with Dr. Tara. With the change in climate, we have seen a lot of changes happening in the field. Whether it is, biotic or abiotic stresses, they are changing. Somewhere we have more abiotic stresses, very common, multiple stresses coming in the same season. And sometimes, disease and pests have also become very common in the conditions where, it was not there. So which area of the science, whether it is disease, nutrition, stress, in your opinion, hold the greatest potential for future, how, in terms of impacting the seed industries?
Yeah. I think we cannot say that just one area will be able to answer and will be providing the solution for every problem. Of course, if you see in most of the cases in coming when we are dealing with developing new material, we try to incorporate now looking into the changing climate and the requirements that have changed over time period. We are looking for climate smart or climate resilient material in almost all the crops because of the changing pattern of the rainfall. Previously, we used to have uniform distribution. Maybe 1 or 2 years we used to have the drought. But now, if you see in the past 4 or 5 years or in the past 10 years, there is sudden downpour, heavy downpour, cloud bursts. Now, the fields, the lands are not really accustomed to absorb that sudden heavy downpour, which is resulting in temporary waterlogging conditions. The so-called dryland crops, which are acclimatized and used to the water deficit soils, are now being exposed to waterlogged conditions. Now, this calls for changing your breeding objective. Definitely, it calls for integration of the breeders, physiologists, and agronomists who have to come together and screen the material and identify that particular suitable material which can stand both water shortage and also can withstand waterlogging conditions. So again, here not only the traditional way of breeding, but it calls for high-end precision phenotyping and genotyping facilities, and advances need to be considered, and then breeding has to happen and the varieties need to be bred. On the other hand, when we talk of other abiotic stresses, there is again continuous increase in temperature. The span of the time that is left for transfer of the carbohydrates from your source to sink is getting reduced. So the plant has to cope up with the sudden increase in the temperature in its surrounding, and this transfer has to happen. If it does not happen, in spite of having a good vegetative growth, you will not be able to realize good sink. So again, that will give yield loss. So again, we need to look from the physiology and other perspectives, and then integration of those different disciplines have to be brought in, and then we need to breed for materials. Coming to the biotic stresses, there is a shift in parasitic load from previous years to the present years. Previously, fall armyworm was not that big, but now you can see the incidences of fall armyworm. Acres and acres, hectares and hectares of fields being washed away, means you can see that eaten away by these fall armyworm. Now, all of a sudden coming up with resistant material for fall armyworm or preventive measures or prophylactic measures, you need to really work hard, look into your germplasm, have effective screening protocols. Again, it calls for precision phenotyping and also genotyping. If you have already available markers and other loci that are linked with the resistance to these things. Now, with the changing disease patterns, changing pest patterns, changing climate patterns, the previous or the so-called continuing breeding program has to be modified, and it needs integration of all the sciences, relevant sciences into one platform. And you can see that integration happening across the institutions, across the countries, and across the companies, private, public, 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 private, private, many things are happening. So it is changing, and the science is just not at one place. It is moving, progressing, and so are we also moving. To give another example, recently, last year, Honorable Prime Minister of India, he has dedicated 109 climate resilient varieties to the country. Those 109 climate resilient varieties, they span across cereals, pulses, oil seeds, horticulture crops, many things. That means preparedness for climate smart agriculture, climate resilient agriculture is happening in every segment of your crops, whether it is cereals, pulses, legumes, horticulture, anything. So it is coming in a big way. And all the modern biotechnological tools, whether you talk of CRISPR-Cas technology or molecular breeding or genomic selection, anything, whatever you say, ultimately all these have to boil into one point, and that is yield improvement and disease resistance or pest resistance, biotic abiotic resistance. That's what everyone is gearing up now.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I also believe that, breeders have got the toughest job these days, considering the uncertainties of weather, and pests and diseases. It used to be very easy for, breeding for yield, than now breeding for every trait that can become irrelevant in 1 or 2 years. So, and thanks for sharing that example of pearl millet, where being a dryland crop, it now has to have flooding tolerance because of the climate change. Thank you. With that, I want to go again to Dr. Mander and ask a question about collaborations. We know that international collaborations are important and they play a role. In your opinion, what role can these collaborations play in sharing germplasm? You talked about data and knowledge to strengthen research and development pipelines.
I think we just had a panel just before this, right? Seeds have no borders. So seeds do not recognize passports, right? They are boundaryless. But just take an example. If a cowpea variety in Nigeria has resilient features that could probably fit into our fields in Rajasthan, or vice versa, millets from Gujarat can fit into some other geographical area where it can actually feed the malnutrition regions. I think that's the best thing that could happen globally, right? Now, here's where I would like to bring in one concept, which is called as One Health. I'm not sure in the audience or in the panelists if you guys have actually come across a concept which is called as One Health. Now, One Health globally, what FAO actually tells us, FAO has come up with the regulation and standards where One Health is animal health, human health, and the third is environment. So it's a triangle basically, right? India is the only country which has actually added plants as the fourth dimension for this triangle. So FAO and India came up with a statement where plants should be an integral part for all the three verticals that have been looked at. Now, when we are looking at germplasm or we are looking at seed industry, like Ms. Tara also mentioned earlier, that millets is all about nutritional augmentation. One Health or seed industry is also part and parcel of nutritional augmentation. And likewise, germplasm is for food security and nutritional security as well, right? To give you an example, CJIR, more than 700,000 of accessions being shared with farmers. Africa, Agra, there is actually just 8 to 10 days ago, Africa Agri Development Agency and FAO came together and started an initiative which is on transforming South Sudan's seed industry. And what this initiative is about, seed system assessment tool. Almost $500,000 being put into establishing this tool to find out what are the gaps in the seed industry, what are the gaps for the biosecurity of the germplasm which is there in Africa, and address those, right? Likewise, what we have looked at, seeds have got no boundaries earlier. I think Africa is also looking into the same vertical where they can be probably having free access to the germplasm, right? So the way I'm looking at collaboration is a multiplier. And the multiplier has to be three ways. One, we are looking at sharing of germplasm diversity. Second, it could be on the data that has been collected across geographical locations, across different agroclimatic zones. And the third one is building up the research capacity, right? I think with these three, India and Africa, if we are looking at sharing the germplasm, we could be looking at the Global South Seed Alliance, which was also shared earlier by the panelists, right? So probably that's the way to look forward in terms of collaborations and partnerships.
Thank you very much for those very useful insights. And I agree with you, there has to be alliances, regional alliances where seed exchange or material exchange becomes very convenient. So we move to the next panelist. I would probably ask you to predict future. Sure. If saying by 2030, what advancements in research in seed sector do you see are going to be important and play an important role?
Absolutely. I'll try my best to predict, okay? So some of this technology, right, we already spoken, one is gene editing or new breeding technology, which would be a game changer in the next 5 or a decade. And then digital transformation, as you said, big data. AI, machine learning, and predictive analytics, those are some other things like, can play a big role in breeding. One simple example in Corteva, for example, like you run an analysis, you have a data analysis sitting and then looking at all the data and making some conclusion, right? Now we have integrated AI using the historical data. The data analysis job, you just need to look at, at the end data, not all the raw data to, conclude it. So we have AI embedded in this. For example, genotyping. So we analyze millions and millions of sample in our lab. Across globe, we have a network of lab, so produce more than billion data point. Looking all the billion data point and analyzing by manual, right? It's going to take months and years. So we have inbuilt AI. So when the analysis lab process is completed, the AI will pick the raw data and then give you the meaningful outcome, right? So that's a model we have already. And predictive analytics, for example, as I said in the previous question answer, predicting the best lines, right? So we have a genomic selection or genomic prediction. In that, what we do, so we, every breeder gets a 10,000 line, fixed line, and approximately, so they need to only do 1,000 genotyping, phenotyping. The rest 9,000, right, using AI and ML, they can predict it. So they don't need to spend huge money testing those 9,000 in the field. So you need only subset of sample, both genotype, phenotype. The rest you can predict. So we have AI tools to do that. And then a couple of other things which we did not talk, biologicals, right? So how we bring tradition, also keeping the biodiversity, all those in mind. So biological can play a big role in the coming years. And then as Sar said, like a high throughput phenotyping,
Yep.
Phenomics can play a big role. And then if you see, even in CRISPR, right, maybe a few years ago, we were talking about one trait editing, single trait. Now in genome editing, we are talking about 50 traits, 100 traits. One go, you can target 50 traits, edit, and then bring a product.
Yeah.
So that's a revolution is going to come. So and then biofortification area,
yes.
How we bring nutritionally rich varieties, hybrids into the market and farmers and our end user. In order to food security and nutrition security, we need to do a lot of all these things in the next 5-10 years.
So it's going to be very exciting
yes.
future for breeding and also the seed industry.
I hope I predicted somewhat.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. Thank you.
You want to
on
add?
similar lines, I just want to give an example. We are working with a company in Australia who is basically an AI machine learning company, and they are also into AMR and robotics. So what we are actually working on is designing micro robots the size of the honeybees, which are then going to be used for pollination of the crops, right? But along with pollination of the crops, these micro robots would be having AI and machine learning integrated into them to even to look at the receptivity of the flowers for pollination, whether they are ready for pollination or no. So that's the kind of predictive automation
Yes.
for breeding technologies is also being looked at now.
So that's the future. Thank you very much for that addition. And thank you very much for bringing that nutrition part. I think IAMR has already set an example in terms of, giving those benchmarks for varietal release in terms of, how they should have those numbers. So the last question for our panelist, Dr. Pravashankar Shuklaji, is about, you briefly touched on the subject, but maybe you can elaborate how can research be better aligned with farmer needs, ensuring that, it delivers practical, adoptable solutions.
Farmers are our real consumers of all the varieties. Definitely, the varieties should be high yielding with the minimum inputs. So in this way, even we can start or think about the participatory breeding program. Because our farmers are also the best conservator of germplasm. Maybe today's variety, tomorrow it will be germplasm for the others. I'm again repeating my same word. In our country, more than 22,000 or more than that varieties has been already released and notified. But how many are on farmers' field? We can even count on the tips, not more than the 100 varieties. The varieties should be the farmers friendly, and one more thing we can even include. Once going to involve the farmers under the participatory breeding program, definitely can say the varieties will be adaptable easily and durable on the farmer's field. So participatory breeding would be one of the best practice for the future. And it can be also solve the regional problems. Because farmers are belong to a different area. So once we are going to utilize the farmers' germplasm for the improvement
and grow these seedlings followed by productivity. So when you can take care of biochar with proper design for proper seeds, you have designed biochars meant for different seeds, if only you know how to design the biochars, which mean that biochars give the necessary nutrients to the necessary crops at different stages, including the seedlings. So these factors you have got to think. This is a high-level thing. Even AI may not be doing this unless you practice basing on these philosophies, and then feed it to AI. AI will be doing wonders later, because AI also must be capturing the data as gathered from the field. Because AI is not a big thing. It also has to capture from somewhere. So therefore, please think on those lines. Biochar, I want to do some work with the Indian Institute of Rice Research, but they are a bit sluggish. Sorry, I'm to use this word. But so I'll be changing over to, we have collaboration with, I don't want to name, they are having collaboration with us on this biochar in two ways. One is to mitigate methane from these rice fields, rice paddies. The other is from mitigating the methanes from the gut of the cattle. We are supplementing this cattle feed with biochar thing, so that when it goes to the gut, the methane is reduced. our contemplation is to use this biochar and reduce 14% in fields and 8% in the cattle, totally amounting to 22% of mitigation of this methane. This is excellent saving for the whole ecology. Thank you.
I think one more thing I would like to add here, sir, because earlier panelists also you mentioned this, right? So whenever breeding programs are being implemented, breeding is based on the genotype and the environment. And when we are looking at environment, it's not only the agroclimatic conditions that are taken into consideration, it's the soil type, whether it's acidic, what is the pH, what is the EC, different kind of substrates. That's where your biochar comes in. So your breeding programs across the globe are not only looking at seed, but it is the genotype and the environment interactions which are actually taken into consideration for varietal improvements. Just a clarification on that.
Thank you very much.
I will add to this point. When we are screening the material and when we're taking up the All India coordinated trials, in the second and third year, we do have experiments involving all these aspects. So it may not be prevalent in many of the crops, but we do have considered, and many advancements, whether it is biochar or hydrogel, we do involve and see their effect and where they are suitable, which genotype is particularly suitable and responding to those things. All these things are being taken care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those questions and inputs. We don't have time for further questions. Now we have to close this. As we reflect on the insights coming from this discussion, I think it's very clear that research and development is going to play a very important role. And there's going to be very exciting innovations, whether it is big data or machine learning and AI automation of breeding and phenotyping. I mean, this is, again, I say this is going to be very interesting and very exciting, and then time demands that breeders have to also operate differently. The traditional breeding has stopped because there are a lot of challenges posed by climate and markets as well. With that, we formally want to close this session. And before that, I want to, express my gratitude and say thank you to all our esteemed panelists who not only gave us the insights of the topic that we had chosen, but gave the information that's going to be important for all those who are attending here. So with that, ma'am and sir, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please clap? And let me invite on stage Mr. I request Mr. Arish to please come up on the stage for the to give the memento. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Arish, let's start with Ms. Tara Satyavati, Director General, Indian Institute of Millets Research. Let's clap. Mr. Mansoor Dar, Principal Scientist, Global Head, Seed Systems, ICRISAT. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please keep clapping? Mr. Mandar. Mr. Mandar. And Mr. Karnakaran. Dr. Prabha Shankar Shukla. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please keep clapping? Hi, thank you very much. Okay, so can we break for a tea or coffee after the group photograph? They will be taking a group photograph. Meanwhile, we can go for tea and coffee and come back. We have a ceremony where we'll be giving awards, and also we have a valedictory. So see you in 15 minutes, only 10 to 15 minutes. Quickly, let's just grab some coffee and tea and be back. Thank you very much. Just 10 to 15 minutes, sir. Thank you. Check.